Welcome back to Globesweeper Hex Puzzler. We had two fairly easy levels just now, but now today we're jumping into Bridge, and this one has cluster clues, area clues, and both min and max chains, and this is a bit of a tricky one, so I would imagine this is going to take quite a while, but let's see. So this one right away starts out with a pretty complicated start. So to begin with, we can look at these three tiles here. Here, we have a minimum 4 tile, so in these 5 tiles we have to have a minimum of 4, and there has to be one chain that is exactly 4. Because of that, we have to mark these 3 tiles, because we can only make a 4 chain either this way or this way, and we have to make a 4 chain. Meanwhile here, we have a minimum 3 in 5 tiles, means we have to mark the center tile. If we remove this center tile, we can't make a 3 chain anymore, so we have to make a 3 chain like this, or like this, or like this. So this center tile has to be marked. Now comes the tricky part. Now, because we got a 4 cluster here, we can look again at this minimum 3. So what would happen if this tile is marked right now? If we mark this tile, this minimum 3 would require it to continue going on until it gets at least 3 tiles. So if this tile is marked, we have to mark this tile as well, and then it connects up to this one, and then this 4 would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's not possible. This tile cannot be marked, or we would connect up too many tiles to this 4 cluster. So we can delete this tile, which now gives us this tile for the 4 here. We get a max of 1 tile here with 1 tile here, so it can't connect up to this tile. We get the 2 here, and then this minimum 3 has 2 tiles here, and has to go on here for a minimum of 3, and then we only have 1 more tile, and we can't fit another 3 area or 3 chain in there, so we have to disconnect this tile to preserve the 3 chain. So that was part 1, but now, and this as well, we have the minimum 2 with 1 tile here, so it has to go on here for 2, but then it can't continue on, because if we go here as well to make it a 3 chain, we don't have enough space left to make another 2 chain. So that has to be disconnected, and then this lone tile can't be marked because it can't be part of a 2 chain, so that is also gone. So that was the tricky start, but now, again, it's a little tricky. So now we finally look at this area here of 11 tiles. And if we count the tiles here, we have 5 tiles here, we have 8 tiles total, and we need 3 more tiles. Keep in mind that you can't count things that are overlapping, so we can't count like 2 tiles for this 3 and then 1 tile for this 1, because it could be the shared tile. But if you count everything that is exclusive, we have 8 tiles total, 2 more tiles here, so that's 10 total, and then this 4 cluster has to have 1 of these 4 tiles to complete itself. So that is independent of the 3 here. We have a total of 11 tiles, and these 4 tiles cannot be marked, so those can all be removed. And that's all we can do here for now. We'll have to leave this area for quite a while, and we go onward here. So this 3 has this marked, this maximum 2 rather, has 1 tile here. We have to make a 2 chain in these 3 tiles, which means we have to mark this center tile. If we remove this center tile, we can't make a 2 chain anymore. And then we have the 2 chain here, so this tile is now removed. Now we look at this area of minimum 3, and we got 1 tile already in it, so this tile has to be part of a minimum 3 chain, a chain of 3 or more. So because we have 1 tile here, we have to go on up here for at least 2 tiles. This 2 is now done, so these tiles are removed. This 1 is done as well. We get this tile for this one, and then again we have 2 tiles here. We have to go onward 1 more tile in this area to make a minimum 3 chain in this area. But now that completes this 4 cluster, so this tile is removed, we get a 4 here, and this tile is removed. Then we get this one marked for the 3 here, and we can look at this max 2, which again needs to have a 2 chain in 3 tiles, so the center has to be marked, and then this is disconnected. This 1 is done. This max 1 tile has 1 tile here, we can't connect up the neighboring one, so that's removed. This 1 is done. This 3 marks these ones, completing this 1, and this 3. But now we look again at the minimum 3 area here. So this is a 2 group, and we have to make it at least a 3 group. So we have to go on here, that's the only tile connected to it, to make a 3, which completes this tile, so that's done. And then we get a 2 here, which marks this tile, so this group is more than a 3 group. And then over here on this end, we have a 1 tile here that has to be part of a 3 or more group. So we have to go up this way for at least 2 tiles, completing this 2. This 3 is now done, so that's removed. And then we have to move on here for this minimum 3 chain right there. And then here as well, we have a max 3 chain, max 3 tile, and we have 5 tiles. So like we've seen in the past, we have to use, well, I guess, surely you've seen this in the past by the time you get to this level, even though I should be basing everything off of the level itself. But we have 5 tiles, we have to make at least 1 chain of 3, so we have to mark the center tile. If we remove the center tile, we only have 2 tiles here and 2 tiles here. So this tile needs to be marked. I mean, I guess you did see that over here on this one, so yeah, could have just gone for that. And because we now have a 3 chain, we have to disconnect this tile to preserve it for this max 3 tile. This 2 is now done, and the 3 marks these ones. Here we get a 6 cluster with 5 tiles, and only 1 more tile to go to get 6. And then disconnect it here. Once again, we have a max 2, and we need to make a 2 chain in 3 tiles, so the center tile has to be marked. But now we don't know if it's these 2 or these 2, so we have to leave that for now. So now we have to go completely just somewhere else, and that somewhere else is all the way over here. This was kind of a tricky thing to find. This max 2 area. We already have 2 tiles here from this 4 from a ways back, so this max 2 area can't have more than 2 in this chain, so we have to disconnect these 3 connecting tiles. Then we get these 2 tiles for the 4 here, and once again we have a 2 chain. We can't connect up more tiles to it in this area, so these tiles all have to be disconnected. We get this tile for the 2 here. This minimum 2 has 1 tile here. We have to make it at least a 2 chain, so that's marked. Once again we get a 2 chain here, 2 group in this max 2 area. So all of the tiles connected to it within the area have to be disconnected. Then we get these 2 for this 4, and these 2 for this 4. And this tile for the 3 here. This max 1 tile has 1 tile here, so it can't connect up to the neighboring one. And this max 2 tile has to have an area of 2, or a chain of 2 in these 3 tiles, so the center tile has to be marked. We can also just look at this max 1 tile, which has 1 tile here and can't connect up to this tile. This 2 is now done, and the 3 marks that. We'll come back here later on. Now we can look at this 4 cluster again from the very start. So we have 3 tiles here. We can't connect up this tile because then we would add 4 and 5 tiles, so this tile has to be removed. And that gives us a max 3 tile, once again in 5 tiles, so the center tile has to be marked to make a proper 3 chain. So we get that, now completing this 4 cluster, so all of the tiles connected to it have to be disconnected. And then we get this tile for the 2 here, and this 2 chain is now done, so this tile is removed. And this area is complete, and now we can just continue on here at the beginning. I'm just going to rotate it the way it was originally right here. So this 1 now marks this tile, this 3 is now done, this max 2 has to mark this tile. So now we can go to either of the, oh, and here as well, the 1 is done, and the 0, yeah, okay, let's just continue on here for now. This 2 needs this tile, the 1 is done, and we could look at stuff here, but you actually don't need to. So now we can look at either of the max 3 areas. We have this area, and then we have 1 over here, so it doesn't matter which one. If we look at this max 3 area, we have 3 in a chain here, so we can't connect up more to it, and also over here. We can't connect up 1 more tile to this area or this area because they both have to be a max of 3 tiles. So all of these tiles are disconnected, and these tiles are disconnected. We get this for the 4 here, creating another 3 chain here, so we can't connect that up to anything. This 4 marks these 2, and this 2 is now done, this 2 is done, and this 2 marks these 2 tiles. Again, just some basic tile solving here. I'm just gonna get that over with until that point. This area is now done, and then this 5 cluster has 4 tiles and needs 1 of these 2 tiles. Because it will use 1 of these 2 tiles, this tile that's connected to both of them can no longer be marked. If we mark this tile, then we can't complete the 5 cluster without connecting it up to it and making it a 6 cluster. So that tile is gone. And because we know we'll use 1 of these 2 tiles, that will complete this 1, so these 3 tiles have to be removed. But I'm just gonna throw it out there. You could have solved this in a different way as well, just a different thing to think about. Or not solved, but you could have done something with this 3 here. where we had this 4 cluster of the 5 cluster, 4 tiles of the 5 cluster, and we had a 3 here. You can also just think this tile cannot be removed, because if we remove this tile, that would mean we have to mark 2 of these tiles, and that would connect up to make a 6 cluster. So we already know that this tile has to be marked for the 3, but I'm gonna just leave that. That's just like a little fun fact. You can already come up with that or whatever, deduce that. But then we get this tile for the 5, so that's now done, and the 3 here marks this tile, and this tile for the 3, like we said. Now we can look at this 6 cluster, which has 4 tiles, and now cannot connect up here, because then it would get 5, 6, and 7, so this tile has to be removed. Now, I think that might be it here, so I guess we now look at this other max 3 area that we have, and once again we have 2 groups of 3 tiles, and they can't connect up to any more tiles, so these tiles are removed, and all of these tiles are removed. We get this tile for the 2 here, which completes this other 2. This max 2 tile has to have a 2 chain, and this is the only place for it. And now this is a bit of a tricky thing, and also kind of an interesting thing. So here we have a 4 cluster, and we have the max 3 area. So this 4 cluster needs 2 more tiles, but it's a 2 chain, and we can at most have it be a 3 chain within this area. So this 4 chain can't complete itself using the tiles in this area, because it can only have 1 more tile before this max 3 chain would need it to be cut off from everything. So because of that, we need to finish this 4 tile outside of this area, and the only way to do that is to use this tile and then one of these 2 tiles. Otherwise it can't escape. If we don't use this tile, then we have to use one of these 3 tiles, and then we get the 3 chain, and it can't be completed. So this tile has to be marked, and then we will use one of these 2 tiles outside of this, because we now have a max 3 area here, so this has to be disconnected from all of the other tiles within the area. We get this tile here, and the 2 is done, and this tile for the 1. Now, like we saw before, because this 4 will use one of these 2 tiles, we can't use this tile, which is connected to both of them, so that's removed. And now again, this is a little tricky. We have a max 2 tile here, and we only need 1 more tile for this 4. So this max 2 tile has to have 1 chain of 2 in these 5 tiles, at least. It could have 2 in theory, but if you think about the 4 here, we know where it can't have a 2 chain. So if we have a 2 chain here, for example, just think about all the possible spots it can have a 2 chain. It can have a 2 chain here, 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 or here. So if it has a 2 chain in these 2 tiles, then we can connect up many more tiles to this 4, and that's not possible. If we have a 2 chain here, then once again we get 5 tiles in this 4 cluster, so that's not possible. If we make a 2 chain here, then again we have a 5 cluster for this 4 cluster, so that's not possible. And the only configuration to make a 2 chain for this max 2 is to mark these 2 tiles, so we have to do that. Because of that, we can now disconnect this tile, because we can't connect up the 2 4 chains here. And we get this 4 tile here, completing that. So now this 4 cluster is done, we can disconnect that, and this 4 cluster is done, we can disconnect all of these tiles. This 2 is done as well. This minimum 1 tile has a 2 chain. We also have to have 1 separate single tile, and the only way to mark that is to use this tile. So that has to be marked for the single minimum 1 tile, and then this has to be disconnected. That now completed this 2, and then finally we can count this 12 here. We have 3, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, and we have to mark this tile for 12. Now we go on up here. Right here we have a 1, so we can at most mark one of these 2 tiles, and this 3 needs 1, 2, and then this tile for 3. And then we have to use one of these 2 tiles, so that will complete the 1, and this tile can't be marked. And that gives us a 2 here, so we can mark these 2 tiles, and that's already done, this 1. Now, this 6 cluster here has 4 tiles. We have to go onward here for 5 tiles, and then we can't connect up to this one, because then it gets too many tiles, so that's disconnected, and we have to go here for the final tile in the 6 cluster, and then disconnect it here. And now finally we count this 3 here for 4 tiles, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and this final tile for 13. Man, that was kind of quicker than I expected, honestly. This is a problem. I didn't actually practice anything more past this point, so I might need to just call it a bit of a shorter one. for this one and practice up. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. And yeah, we'll see where I go next. Bye-bye!